very warm welcome to all of you in this lecture on material handling. Over the past couple of days, we have been having lectures related to different topics of industrial engineering. Material handling is also one of the most important aspects to be considered whenever we design a manufacturing plant. We have to see that the material handling should be easy, it should be cost effective, and it should be very efficient. So, in today's lecture we will see that what are the salient features of material handling, what are the various definitions of material handling, what are the objectives of material handling, when we have to design a material handling plant, like when we have to take a decision regarding the material handling systems. Then we will see what are the principles of material handling, and finally we will see that if we go for an automated handling system, what are the limitations of such a process. So, basically the important point to realize here is that material handling is an important aspect and it has to be looked into if we want to make profit. Basically, profit maximization is the main or the sole aim of any manufacturing activity. Now, if we spend too much of money in material handling or our material handling systems are not efficient, not effective, too much of time is wasted in taking the material from one place to another place, or the breakdowns are very frequent. In those cases, the overall manufacturing activity stops and we run into losses. So, it is important to understand that material handling is an important aspect of any manufacturing activity. Here I am talking about manufacturing because in most of our lectures our focus has been towards manufacturing, but material handling is not at all lying between the domain of manufacturing activity only. It has its scope in a large number of other fields as well. So, by the end of this lecture we will see that what is the scope of material handling. So, now let us start our discussion with a slight introduction to material handling. Material handling means providing the right amount of the right material. So, kindly go through each and every point very carefully. So, each and every sentence, each and every word in this particular introduction gives us the major important definition of material handling. So, material handling means providing the right amount of, means the quantity, right quantity of right material. Right material means the material which is actually required in the right condition. In the right condition means that it is in the usable condition, it has not been altered or it has not been damaged when it is being transported or handled from one location within the plant to the another location within the plant. So, three things has been addressed till now. What are the three things? That right amount means the volume should be right, the type of material should be right, and its condition should be good. At the right place means wherever it is required it should be provided, and at the right time, in the right position. So, the time is also important and the position where we are providing it is also equally important. The place is also important and the position is also important. Maybe if it is on the other side of the conveyor or this side of the conveyor, that is also important. And then for the at the right cost also by using the right method. So, you see so many different aspects have to be seen whenever we design a material handling system. So, material handling basically means that we are providing the right amount of the right material in the right condition, at the right place, at the right time, in the right position, and for the right cost by using the right method. So many different things are incorporated in the science and engineering of material handling. So, material handling is an important aspect which I have already addressed. So many things have to be optimized, and thereafter we can say our material handling is very effective and efficient. So, if we are able to provide such a system which can address to all these points which are mentioned in the very first introductory definition of material handling, then we can say yes, our material handling system is very efficient and it is very effective. It is simply picking up, moving and lying down of materials through manufacture. So, this simplifies the top definition, or the first point has been simplified in the second point, that it is simply picking up, moving and lying down of materials through manufacture. So, we can say just from the first slide it becomes very clear that what are the major objectives of material handling, like what do we want to do when we think of material handling. We want to transport the right material at the right place, in the right position, in the most cost effective manner and by using the right method. Right method means there may be so many methods of material handling. We may not be able to cover so many methods of material handling, but it is better to understand that it is not a single method, there are so many other methods of material handling. It means, what I mean to say is that there is no single method of material handling, there exists a large number of methods of material handling which can be used in industry or which are being used in the industry. So, let us continue our discussion on material handling. We are just trying to address that what do we mean by material handling. It applies to the movement of raw materials, parts in process, finished goods, packing materials and disposal of scrap. So, what type of materials we are addressing? We have already seen, if we summarize what we have covered till now in the first slide, we have seen that right amount of material of right quality at right time in the right cost and in right position and place in the most cost effective manner. That is the basic crux of material handling. So, what type of materials are going to be handled? So, these materials can be basically can be movement of raw materials, parts in process, finished goods, packing materials and disposal of scrap. So, all these type of handling or handling of all these type of materials is falling under the category of material handling. So, in general hundreds and thousand tons of materials are handled daily, requiring the use of large amount of manpower, while the movement of materials takes place from one processing area to another or from one department to another department of the plant. So, large number of people or a huge amount of manpower is required to transport the material from one unit to another unit or from one department to the another department, and the volume of material that is transported from one area to the another area is also very large. So, if we see the costs that are involved in this type of transport from one place to another place, it would be very high. If we see the breakup of the total manufacturing cost of a particular product, some amount of cost is also contributed by the material handling, which is the cost that we want to address and we want to minimize. So, if that cost is large and it is adding to the cost of the product, what we would like to do is that we would like to reduce that material handling cost to a minimal, so that the overall cost of the product can be minimized. So, basically material handling, in the very first slide we have seen that what do we mean by basic material handling. Now, we have seen what type of materials are transported within the plant. This can be raw material, it can be work in process materials, it can be finished goods, it can be scrap, or it can be other inventory items or equipment that is being transported from one place to another within the manufacturing plant. So, all these activities are important. They are usually done manually or can be done by automated systems also, and what is our major objective is to minimize the costs that are associated with this material handling activity. Now, what are the basic definitions? We have seen the introduction. What do we mean by material handling? What type of materials are handled within the manufacturing plant? So, let's now see some of the very basic definitions of material handling. Material handling is the movement and storage of material at the lowest possible cost through the use of proper method and equipment. So, we can divide this definition into three important parts. So, first part is the movement and storage of material. So, basically in material handling, we are transporting the material from one place to another place for storage or for use. Second point is the lowest possible cost. So, this activity, which is the material handling activity, has to be performed in the minimal possible cost. And the third point of the definition is by the use of proper method and equipment. So, basically what do we mean by this definition is that we have to move and store the material. This activity has to be done in the minimal possible cost. And the third point is by using the most efficient and effective method of handling. So, this activity, if we are able to perform effectively and efficiently, the total cost of making the product would reduce, which would further lead us into profit maximization. Now, let us see what the second definition has to say. Material handling embraces all the basic operations involved in the movement of bulk, packaged and individual products in a semi-solid or solid state by means of machinery and within the limits of a place of business. So, this definition also says that there is a movement of material, then it specifies the type of material which are moved. If you see, what are the type of material? Movement of bulk, packaged and individual products. Now, these products can be in semi-solid or solid state by means of machinery and within the limits of the place of business. So, with the help of machinery means that manpower may be required, may not be required. So, machines are being used for material handling. Similarly, this type of movement is taking place within the place of business. So, we can say within the limits of place of business. So, the materials handling of the material outside the business place is not considered in this definition. So, in this definition we see the type of material, the movement of material takes place and it is done with the help of machines, and the movement of materials is restricted within the sphere of the business activity within the plant. So, two definitions we have already seen, which very clearly defines what do we mean by material handling. Now, let us see some other definitions which give us the basic meaning of material handling. Material handling is the art and science of moving, storing, protecting and controlling material. So, this gives another aspect of material handling. So, it is the art and science of moving. So, moving we have seen in the previous two definitions also. The movement of materials is an integral part of material handling. Then storing of material is also falling under the broad definition of material handling. Then we have protecting and controlling material. So, we have to protect the material, maybe material in the broad, under the broad umbrella of material handling. Protecting is also coming. Sometimes we have to protect the material from different types of insects, maybe from different type of hazards or from different types of unnatural calamities or natural calamities. So, we have to see, we have to protect the material. So, protecting is also falling under the definition of material handling. So, moving, storing, protecting and controlling means sometimes we have to control the flow of material in a particular direction. So, that is also falling under the category of material handling. So, once again to summarize this or to memorize this, material handling is the art and science of moving, storing, protecting and controlling the material. So, we can see that these four broad activities fall under the category of material handling. So, what are the four activities? Moving, storing, protecting and controlling of material. Then material handling is the preparation, placing and positioning of materials to facilitate their movement or storage. So, movement or storage already we know, but it is the preparation, placing and positioning of materials so that they can be easily moved and easily stored. So, that is also a material handling or material handling activity. So, we have seen that there are different definitions of material handling, but basic crux is that the material handling activity involves movement of material within a business unit or within a factory or within a plant. So, movement of material, this has to be accomplished at the minimal possible cost and by making use of the most efficient method of movement in order to minimize the total cost, or we can say to maximize the profit of the organization. Now, what are the objectives of material handling? Now, let us see what are the objectives. The primary objective of a material handling system is to reduce the unit cost of production. The other subordinate objectives are, so I have been discussing, we have seen in the previous 2-3 slides, we have said that the cost has to be minimized, the profit has to be maximized. So, the primary aim is, or the primary objective is to minimize the unit cost, but there are some other objectives also. So, that we are going to see one by one. Now, let us see the first objective, reduce the manufacturing cycle time. I have already told that we are focusing on the manufacturing aspect of material handling. So, if we are handling the material in a more efficient or most efficient and effective manner, the manufacturing cycle time would be reduced. How it would be reduced means that material handling we are doing by transporting the material from one particular processing unit to another particular processing unit. So, if the material handling is efficient and it is effective, means that within the minimum possible cost we are able to transport the material from one particular unit to another particular unit, the cycle time would reduce. Otherwise, if we are not doing the things effectively, then the material may take a lot of time to be moved from one particular location to another particular location, and this time would add up to the total manufacturing cycle time. So, we can conclude here that if we are very efficient and effective in material handling, then we would be very easily able to reduce the manufacturing cycle time. So, we will see certain other examples also in the course of the lecture if possible, that how this manufacturing cycle time can be reduced. Then it reduces the delays and damage. Sometime it has been observed, it has been seen that the material being transported from one particular place within the organization to another particular place within the organization gets damaged. So, that damage is going to add up to the total scrap or total wastage. Always there is a thrust to minimize this wastage. So, if we are handling the material properly and effectively, then this damage can be reduced. Moreover, if we have a very efficient material handling system in place, the delays in the manufacturing activity would also be minimal. So, two major objectives have to be achieved by any material handling system, that is that it should be able to reduce the manufacturing cycle time and it should be able to reduce the delays and damage during the material handling. Now, third major objective of material handling system is that it should promote safety and improve working conditions. So, two important aspects already we have seen. Now, third important aspect is that it should promote safety and improve working conditions, which means that the system should be such that it is very safe in operation. Sometimes we can take an example of a overhead crane. So, if a overhead crane is in place, so it is picking up the material from one place and then it is taking that material to another place. And if we have people working under the working area of the crane, sometimes there may be a accident also. So our design of a material handling system should be such that no such accident takes place. So the system should be such design that it should promote safety and it should improve the working conditions also. So these are the three important points we have already discussed. Now the fourth point is the maintain or improve the product quality. Now suppose we take an example. During the handling on a conveyor, the material is being transported from one processing unit to another processing unit. So suppose the material has been finished at the last processing point, or in the processing sequence we have achieved the final finishing of the product. Now it is being transported by a conveyor to the packaging unit. Now if the conveyor is not proper, the materials are hitting one another. The products that have been finalized, those who have gone through the processing sequence, are being transported to the final packaging unit. During this transportation or during this movement over a conveyor, they rub against each other. Then the surface finish may be spoiled. So what should be an ideal material handling system? What is the objective of material handling? That the product quality should be maintained, or it should even rather be improved. So whatever quality we have achieved in one of the final sections of processing should be there when we are packing the product. So within this transportation or this movement or this conveying, the material should not get damaged or it should not lose its quality. So our material handling system design should be such that this problem does not arise. Then another objective of material handling is that it should promote productivity. Now how it will promote productivity? Material should flow in a straight line, no zigzag path should be there. Then material should move as short as distance as possible. So the movement should be restricted, movement should be minimal, otherwise it would cause delays also. So we have to take into account important points which are required to improve the productivity of the manufacturing plant. So flow should be smooth, it should be in a straight line, then it should be as less as possible, or the distance travelled should be as short as possible. Then most of the times the focus should be on use of gravity. Now basically this is an important aspect which is used by most of the industries. So gravity can be used to transport the material from one area to another area. So this can be used in order to minimize the cost of material handling, which in turn would lead to minimizing the total cost of the product, which would lead into the maximization of the profit. So gravity, we see that earth has its gravitational pull. So if we are making use of that particular aspect, then what we are doing is no additional source of power or energy would be required. So if we are making use of the gravity, we are saving certain amount of power and energy, which would be helpful to us in maximizing our profit. So another important point is how we can improve the productivity. 3 points already we have covered. What are the 3 points? That material should flow in a straight line, material should move as short a distance as possible, we should be making use of the principle of gravity wherever it is applicable and feasible, or we can say wherever it is possible we should make use of gravity. Then move more material at one time. So economies of scale should be taken into account. So more material if transported at once would be saving in terms of cost, also it may be saving in terms of energy and power also. Then automated material handling is another system which would help us to promote the productivity. So the major advantage of an automated material handling system is that it promotes productivity, or it enhances or improves the productivity. During the course of this lecture, we would also like to see that what are the limitations of automated material handling system. The advantage already has been addressed in the objectives of material handling, where we say that if we have an automated material handling system, it would lead to promotion in the productivity, or we can say increase in the productivity. Then what are other objectives? On your screen you can see it promotes the increased use of facilities. So it can increase or promote the use of building cube, then purchase the versatile equipment, develop a preventive maintenance program, maximize the equipment utilization. So material handling should lead to all these things also. So it should promote the use of a building cube, then it should purchase versatile equipment. So this is also one of the objectives of material handling. So versatile equipment should be there. It should not be dedicated to one type of products only. It should be for different types of product. The material handling can be done for different types of products. Then it should develop a preventive maintenance program also. That is also very important. If maintenance is not there, then there may be frequent breakdowns. Then it should maximize the equipment utilization. So material handling should also look into these aspects, or the material handling system should also take care of all these points. So we have seen that what are the major objectives of material handling. We have covered so many different points related to the objectives of material handling. Now we have seen that we have a certain objective that we keep in mind whenever we have a material handling system. We feel that okay, these are the aims, these are the objectives that should be satisfied if we have a very effective and efficient material handling system. Now we come on to another point, that what are the costs of handling, or different types of costs associated with handling, and our major aim is to minimize these costs in order to maximize the profit. So the cost of handling is the cost of material handling equipment, both fixed cost and operating cost, calculated as the cost of equipment divided by the number of units of material handled over the working life of the equipment. So first thing is the cost of the material handling equipment. So that is the first cost that is associated with the material handling. So we have maybe a conveyor belt system, or we may have a crane system. So different types of material handling system are there, and there are different costs for each and every type of system that the company tries to procure or focuses to procure. So we can say we have a certain amount of cost involved in procuring a material handling system. Then the cost of labor is the second type of cost. So both direct and indirect associated cost calculated in terms of cost per unit of material handled. So cost of labor is another cost which is there in material handling. Then cost of maintenance of equipment, damages, lost orders, and expediting expenses, also calculated in terms of cost per unit of material handled. So we have seen that there are three different type of important cost elements that are there in material handling. Now what are these three different types of cost elements? That is cost of material handling equipment, cost of labor, and the cost of other maintenance and other activities, damages or lost orders, etc. Now when we are talking about an efficient material handling system, then we say that we should have such a system which is very efficient. Efficient means that it should be handling a large number of parts or products, and the cost of that particular equipment should be spread into a cost of large number of products, so that we get the economies of scale. Similarly, if we are talking about material handling by equipment, very less labor force should be required. That is, it should be semi-automated or automated type of material handling system. If we are talking about a manual material handling, means only people have to transport or move the material from one area to another area, then we should have that kind of system, so that minimum number of people should be required to transport or move the material from one particular area within the industry or within the plant to the other area. So our major aim is to minimize the total cost of material handling. Similarly, the breakdowns or the maintenance should be as less as possible. Also, we have to take into account that the material during transportation or the damage to the material during transportation should be minimal. So if we are able to minimize these costs associated with material handling, we would be able to make profit or add into the profit of the organization. Now we know that we have to minimize the cost. Now let us see that when we need to design a material handling system. So on your screen you can see the need to design a material handling system arises when. Now when does the need arise? There are so many different circumstances when the need for designing a material handling system could arise. Now let us see what are the various circumstances one by one. Now first one is a new product is being planned for manufacture. So the company has taken a decision that a new product would be manufactured. Now for that particular product we need to design a material handling system, that how that product would be handled in different stages of the manufacturing activity. Now suppose it enters as a raw material and then it is processed at different stations, finally it goes out as a final product. So we have to take a decision that now the product has changed, a new product has to be launched, how it would be handled at different stages within the plant. So whenever a new product is there, we have to take a decision that yes, a material handling system has to be designed. Change in the existing product design requiring a corresponding change in the layout. Now already we have seen that there are different types of layouts: product layout, process layout, fixed position layout, or a cellular type of layout. Now whenever a product change takes place, sometimes we may have to change the layout also. If you see the advantages and disadvantages of different types of layout, in certain circumstances we may have to go for changing the type of the layout. So whenever the new product has been launched, we may have to completely design the material handling system. But whenever there is a change in the design of the product also, the layout changes, and as soon as the layout changes, we have to change our material handling system. So two things we have already seen: new product launched into the manufacturing cycle, we need to change the material handling system. A old product has been redesigned, leading to the change in the layout, which will subsequently lead into the change in the material handling system. Then the third point is obsolescence of facilities. Some of the facilities may become obsolete. Maybe a new facility has been added, an old machine has been removed from the factory. So when old machine has been removed, there might have been a material handling system that was bringing the semi processed parts to that particular machine. Now when that machine has been removed, another machine can be added at that place, or it can be a slightly modified version of the older machine. Now talking about these principles of material handling, these principles represent the experience of designers who have been working in the design and operations of handling systems. So whenever we have to design a particular system, we need to work on different factors. Now these factors may be in large number and it becomes difficult to incorporate each and every factor into the design. So basically these designers have summarized their experiences related to the design of handling system, which are quoted in terms of different principles. So we are going to see what are these principles. So whatever these principles are, this is the experience, or this is a summary of the experience of the designers who have a long history of working in the area of design of material handling systems. These principles serve as rough guides or rules of thumb for material handling system design. So these principles sometimes may be used, sometimes may not be used, but they serve as a rule of thumb for any designer whenever he is planning to design a material handling system for a particular application. So we have seen from where these principles have come and how these principles have been summarized or formulated and how these can be used. So these are just rules of thumb, may be used, may not be used. So now we will see one by one what are these 20 principles, and we would try to address one or two of them in detail. Now on your screen you see 20 principles of material handling. Now the first principle is very simple: planning principle, systems principle, material flow principle. If you remember, in one of the previous slides we have seen that the material flow should be in a straight line, it should be a smooth flow. So these principles should be taken into account whenever the material handling system is being designed. Then the simplification principle, this should be kept in mind, that the material handling system should be very simple in nature. If it is very complex, it is very cumbersome, it may result into damage of the material during the handling process. So simplified system would make the overall manufacturing system very simple. So principle of simplification should also be taken into account. Then the gravity principle should always be made use of wherever it is possible and feasible and it can be justified. Already we have seen that principle of gravity would help us in reducing the energy requirement or the power requirement, which would add to the reduction of the total cost of the product and would result into maximization of the profit. So gravity principle, wherever it is possible, we should make use of the principle of gravity. Then space utilization principle, minimum amount of space should be required, or we should design the material handling system in such a way that it would take the minimum amount of space. Because we have seen that whenever we lay out the plant area, our objective is of space utilization. We should make the maximum possible utilization of the space. So whenever we are designing a material handling system within a plant, the space utilization principle should also be kept in mind. Then the safety principle, already we have seen that safety guidelines have to be taken into account, and wherever there are a large number of accidents happening in a particular type of a system or a material handling system, we need to redesign that system keeping into account the safety principle in mind. Then standardization principle should also be kept in mind. Maintenance principle, so standardization and maintenance, very routine term, very simple terms that are used. So standardization means that always wherever possible we should implement or we should install a standardized material handling system. Then obsolescence principle should also be taken into account. Flexibility principle is very important. The material handling system should be very flexible in nature. Sometimes it may so happen that we may have to design a system dedicated to a particular material type of material handling, but if possible, if the need is not that stringent for a particular type of material, then a generalized type of or a very flexible type of material handling system should be designed so that it may handle a large variety of and a large type of products. Then the mechanization principle, whether to go for manual material handling or to go for a mechanized type of material handling, that also has to be taken into account. Cost principle has to be taken into account, minimization of the overall cost or the economies of scale, that is the number of material or the volume of material handled for a particular investment of cost in a particular material handling system. So whenever we design a material handling system, we should lay emphasis on the point that we are spending so much of money on this type of material handling system, how much material it should handle, or how many units of material it should handle over a period of time. So cost principle also should be taken into account. Ergonomic principle, energy efficient, it should be efficient energetically, means energy required should be less. Then the ecology principle should also be taken into account. Computerization principle should also be taken into account. Orientation principle, layout principle, unit load principle. So we have seen that we cannot, in one lecture we cannot go in discussing all these principles, but an overview of these principles has been presented here, that whenever we have to design a material handling system, we have to take into account all these principles. These principles are basically rules of thumb which may be applicable in a particular system or may not be applicable in a particular system. But if we take into account all these principles while designing our material handling system, this is going to lead into a design of a very effective and efficient material handling system. Effective and efficient means that it would be requiring less space, it would be requiring minimum amount of energy to operate, it would be very easy to operate, it would be having a smooth flow, and all other principles incorporated into a very optimal material handling system. So if we have, or if we design a system which is optimal or which is efficient or which is effective, this would further lead into minimization of the manufacturing cycle time. This would reduce the total cost of the product, and in turn it will result into the maximization of the profit. So manufacturing cycle time is reduced, cost is reduced, or the cost of the product is reduced, and the profit is maximized. So every businessman, entrepreneur, or the organization head would certainly like to have such type of a material handling system. So we would be able to achieve that kind of a system if we take into account all these principles which have been highlighted on this particular screen. Now whenever we have to design a material handling system, we have to take into account 2 or 3 very important aspects. So these aspects can be related to the material, these can be related to the movement of the material, or these can be related to the type of equipment or system that is being used for material handling. Now we will see one by one that what are the various aspects that we have to bear in mind whenever we are designing a material handling system. So let's see the factors to be considered while designing a material handling system. So first important aspect or factor to be taken into account is the material. So we have to take into account the form of material that has to be transported or moved from one area to another area. So the form can be either in the gaseous form, liquid form, semi-solid or semi-liquid or solid form. So it can be gaseous, liquid, semi-liquid or solid. So depending upon the form of the material, we have to design the system. Then the nature of material also plays a very important role. So how it is going to play a very important role? That we will see that if the bulk material has to be moved, the material handling system has to be designed accordingly. If unit load or individual items or some items which are very fragile or very sturdy on the other hand, or they are very bulky, then we have to design the system accordingly. If the items to be handled are fragile, then the system should be such that they do not get damaged during the movement or during the transportation. If it is very sturdy or bulky, the system has to be such so that it should be able to handle the sturdy or the bulky items. If individual items have to be transported, then the system has to be such that one by one it should move the items from one place to another place. So we have seen that whenever we are designing a material handling system, the first important aspect is the material aspect, that what material has to be moved. Then within the material we have to see that what is the form of the material, what is the nature of the material, and then thirdly we see what are the characteristics of the material. Now from the characteristics point of view, we either it can have certain chemical characteristics, it can have certain electrical or mechanical characteristics. So those characteristics also have to be borne in mind. So from electrical point of view, it can be conducting, it can be non-conducting, or there can be other some mechanical characteristics also. So all these characteristics have to be borne in mind whenever we are designing the system. Then quantity also plays a very important role, whether it is pieces or it's pounds or gallons or otherwise. So what is the quantity that has to be transported, that is also very important. So from the materials perspective or from the point of view of the material, we have to take into account the form, the nature, the characteristics and the quantity of the material that has to be transported from one area to the other area. Now let us see from the movement point of view, what are the factors that we have to keep in mind. From the movement point of view, we have to see source and destination, receiving, stock room, warehouse, same floor or maybe some other floor, other department. So we have to see that what is the source and destination of the materials, from where the material has to be taken, where it has to be delivered or transported. Then the route, which route it is going to follow, the location, range, what is the path it is going to follow, and the cross traffic. Sometimes there may be cross traffic also. This material is being moved from this place to this place, there is a cross movement of another type of material which is being handled from this source to some particular destination. So when movement is being considered, we have to see what is the source and what is the destination. We also have to see what is the route the material is going to follow. Then we have to see the distance, what is the horizontal distance, what is the vertical distance or the inclined distance. So in route we have to see, in distance we have to see, source and destination we have to see, and the frequency also has to be seen. That is whether it is a intermittent transport or it is a uniform transport. Whenever it is uniform, we may think of putting up a continuous conveyor belt, because continuously we are transferring the material from one place to another place. It can be regular, irregular or unpredictable. So we have to see that how the material is being transported, what is the frequency of transfer. Then we have to see the speed also, that at what speed we have to transfer the material. So from the movement point of view, we have to take into account all these points. So what are these points? Let's summarize them once again. Source and destination, from where to what place, what is the route which has to be followed, what is the distance, total distance, then the frequency of transport or transfer or movement, and then finally the speed. So we have seen that whenever we have to design a material handling system, we have to take into account the material itself, what has to be transported. Then we have to see what is the movement, or from the movement point of view we have to address all these points. And then finally the methods, unit or load, maybe bulk items are transported or containers are transported. So whether the material is being transported in bulk or in form of items, or a big container is transported or transferred from one place to another place, or moved from one place to another place within the business activity. Then we can have manpower, that has to be considered, like how many number of people would be required, one, several, many, none. So this is also one of the important aspects in designing the material handling system. Then the equipment, either we are going for conveyor or forklift truck or crane, this also has to be taken into account. So we have seen that what are the various factors that have to be taken into account whenever we are designing a material handling system. So these factors can broadly be categorized into the material aspects like type of material, form of material that has to be transported. There were many other factors as well, and then we have to take into account the movement, in which we have seen speed, frequency of travel and all those aspects. So depending upon the movement, depending upon the type of material and depending upon the type of method or the kind of methods that we can use, we can have a large number of material handling systems. And if we take into account all these factors while designing the system, our system would result into the optimal transfer of materials from one place to another place within the organization. Then we have seen that so many different types of material handling systems are there. So we take into account all these factors which we have covered in the previous slides, previous 3 slides specifically, and these factors would lead us into designing a particular type of a material handling system. So we have seen that automated material handling systems had certain advantages. If we remember, in the same lecture we have seen that during the objectives of material handling, we have seen that improving the productivity can be easily achieved, or we can improve the productivity with the help of automated material handling systems. But these type of systems had certain limitations as well. So what are these limitations? Additional investment is required because these systems are costly and expensive. Lack of flexibility. So if we have an automated material handling system for a particular application, it cannot be used for any other type of material handling. So lack of flexibility, vulnerability to downtime whenever there is breakdown. So breakdowns are for a large period of time because the maintenance requires proper personnel, proper skilled personnel who can take care of these types of systems. Then additional maintenance, staff and cost, already I have told about that. Cost of auxiliary equipment may be high, space and other requirements. So it is so happening that although these type of systems are very efficient, very effective, they improve the productivity, but they have certain limitations as well which have to be taken into account, and we have to do a feasibility analysis, a cost benefit analysis, that if we are spending so much of money in installing a automated material handling system, is it worth spending, or is it worth having, or is it reducing the per unit cost of the product. So if we see that yes, the benefits are there, then only we should go for a automated material handling system. Now let's take into account the scope of material handling. Now we have focused this lecture on material handling system. We have seen that the material handling is important from the manufacturing point of view. Wherever a manufacturing activity is taking place, raw material is getting transformed into the final product. In between, a large amount of material handling is required. So we have seen various aspects of material handling, but it is not that within the manufacturing activity only material handling is required. Scope of material handling is very wide. It can be industrial material handling, which we have covered a little bit in today's lecture. It can be transportation industries, warehousing, wherever we are maintaining a large amount of inventory of maybe finished products. Then extractive industries, process industries. So different types of industries require material handling. So whatever topics we have covered, our discussion was focused on, our examples were focused on manufacturing industry, but the aspects of material handling are very open, very general in nature. The factors that we have considered for designing a efficient and effective material handling system are very general in nature. These can be used in any of these types of industry. So we have covered in today's lecture the basic definitions of material handling. We have seen the principles of material handling. We have also covered the various factors that have to be considered for designing an efficient and effective material handling system. Thank you.